Hey, ladies and gentlemen, the name or Mr. T here yet again. Wait a minute, something's wrong here. I have my 4. I have Petition. I got Stay Beautiful. My shirt. That's right. Don't worry. I got you. I don't see my yellow shirt, but I got you. Okay. I petitioned myself to go get a yellow shirt. Boom. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. I got you. I got you right here. Boom. There we go. Oh, that's so much better. No, I did not just pull this out of my dirty clothes hamper. Whew. Alright, don't worry. You can sign a petition to make me not wear yellow shirts in my videos. I probably won't listen to it, but, you know, whatever. So, now that we are here, ladies and gentlemen, my Americans, and if you're not an American listening in and you are an ally of the United States, well, good to have you. If you're not an ally to the United States, well, you know, Germany and Japan, 1945. Enough said. So, like I was saying, we are here in our final video to our First Amendment, and we have, so far, we have covered 4 of the 5 topics of the First Amendment, which are, in the order they appear in the actual First Amendment, we have freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, and freedom of assembly. I did pretty good not looking at that. Now, today, we have freedom of petition. Now, petition means you can basically sign or get people to sign a form to do something. That's kind of what a petition is. We think a petition a lot means to get the government to change something. And that's what it mainly is in some senses. However, we're going to go over a few other things that petitions are, and we're going to get into the history and kind of the meat of what they are. So, when I was doing research for this section of the amendment, I didn't really find a whole lot. Like, all these other 4, I typed them in, and I got court cases and history, and I got full-on information on them. When I looked up petition, I either found petition rolled in with assembly, which I did tell you in the assembly section that assembly and petition do go together. And my research really confirmed that, because when I was looking up petition really didn't come up a whole lot on its own. It was rolled in with assembly. So I didn't really find a whole lot other than the history of it. The history I found that. But, I only found 5 major Supreme Court cases for this amendment. The other 4, the least one I found was like 16 or 17. Okay? So this section of the First Amendment is a lot smaller. And the reason being is, it's kind of self-explanatory. If you really think about it, when it talks about it in the First Amendment, it talks about, that the government can't make laws forbidding our ability to petition the government. And it kind of goes further into saying about how, we can petition the government and not have to worry about the government coming back at us. Because pre the First Amendment, a lot of people who would petition governments, and even in some areas today, you have the right to petition the government, but the government can come back at you for doing it. In the United States, we don't have that, okay? And basically, if you petition the government in the United States, yeah, your petition isn't always going to be heard, and some people might even just push it aside, and we're going to talk about that actually happened in the 1800s, but you don't have to worry, at least legally, you don't have to worry about anyone coming back at you. If you don't like a candidate, you can petition to have that candidate taken out of office. If you don't like a law, you can have that law, or you can petition to have that law taken away. If you get enough signatures, and if you get enough people to back you, that can actually happen. But if you don't, even if you do, whether you do or don't, whether you get the person kicked out of office, or whether you get the law reversed, or anything like that, no one can come back at you for it, okay? If you're the one that started the petition, you're safe. Under the First Amendment, you're safe from any backlash, legally. People still have under the freedom of speech to still speak their mind and stuff. So if you get someone kicked out of office, yeah, they can still use their freedom of speech to a point, like we learned in the First Amendment, to come back at you and things like that. But there's nothing legally anyone could do against you if you go about petitioning someone the right way. Now, to get kind of into the history of petition is, when we were colonists, okay, when we were under British control, the king did a lot of bad things. And it wasn't really even the king. Most of the stuff that happened came from Parliament, which is like Britain's form of Congress, like their form of House and Senate. They came from them. But the king did a lot too, and he didn't do anything to stop it, really. So even the things that didn't come from him, he didn't do anything to stop it. And when the founding fathers, the colonists, when we wrote letters like the Olive Branch, Petition, which we weren't trying to break free yet. We weren't trying to become our own nation. We were just saying, hey, these are the things that are going wrong. Can you fix them? And the king didn't do anything. Okay, he just sat on his butt and didn't do anything. God, I really hope no one from Britain is watching this. They're gonna kick me for it. But like I said, he didn't do anything. He sat on his butt, twiddled his thumbs, didn't do squat. And that made Americans mad, and eventually we wrote the Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776. Actually, it was July 2nd, and it wasn't actually signed until later. Actually, it wasn't even signed until August. But we wrote the Declaration of Independence in 1776, okay? We officially name it the July 4th, and that's when we broke away. And Thomas Jefferson and the other people who helped him write it, Thomas Jefferson was the main writer, but not the only writer, who wrote the Declaration of Independence, when they wrote it, he even put in there a section saying that one of the many reasons, there's a long list of reasons why we broke away from Great Britain, and one of the things in there was saying, one of the reasons we're breaking away is because you're not addressing any of the petitions or grievances that we're bringing to you. We're petitioning all these things that are wrong, and you're not doing anything. That's a section in the Declaration of Independence. So, that's kind of the history of it. Now, post-America, post-First Amendment, post-after we get all these things, some of the things is, a couple things that the petition kind of, oh my gosh, I'm skipping over my words. The things that freedom of petition protect is, there was, in the 1800s, this is kind of where freedom of petition kind of lacked, and the Supreme Court didn't do anything about it, was the Congress passed a gag rule, okay, or a gag rule, sorry. They passed a gag rule. Because what happened was, in 1837 and 38, a lot of people, and a lot of what we call abolitionists, or people from the North, people who wanted to free slaves, they started throwing all these petitions at Congress trying to get slavery ended. And Congress passed a gag rule that stopped the petitions. Okay? Eventually, John Quincy Adams, one of our presidents, and a few other representatives got that rule taken away, but the Supreme Court just sat back and didn't do anything. Okay? So there was one time we saw that petitions started, that was my phone, petitions started to go away, and you couldn't do them anymore. Now, another thing is, though, that's really one of the biggest things, that the only other times petitions have ever really been taken away. Another thing, so a couple things. When we get into petitions, like I said, I'm kind of just scratching for things, because when I did my research for this, there wasn't a whole lot on it. Kind of coming into modern day, though, what we can know of modern day, no more history or anything like that, because there really isn't a whole lot on this one. In today, if you see people petitioning, like those people running around asking you to sign something, the Supreme Court has ruled a few things on that, because those are petitions, or those are petitioners. One of the major things is, anyone who's running around circulating or trying to do one of those, the people who want to get that done can hire that person. So the person that you're seeing running around asking to have signatures and stuff probably doesn't even believe in what they're getting the signatures on. They probably were hired by someone to do it. Piggybacking off that, the Supreme Court has also ruled that that circulator, the person running around asking for signatures, doesn't have to be a registered voter, and they don't have to disclose any of their personal information. Okay? So the next time you see someone saying, sign this petition, or sign this, or sign that, they technically don't have to be a registered voter, and they don't have to disclose any information, whether it be to you personally, or to a state official, or a federal official. Now, there are a few modern-day restrictions, and one of the biggest ones is prisoners can't circulate petitions, okay? At least not in federal prisons. And the other major one, it's in South Dakota, and I'm pretty sure if I did research I'd find other things, but sex offenders aren't allowed to circulate petitions. So the people running around saying, hey, sign this, sex offenders in South Dakota aren't allowed to petition. The last thing before I'm out of time, and I'm probably going to stay under in this video, is we talked about in the other 4 parts that the Bill of Rights, or the first 10 amendments, or all the amendments, don't really apply to states. They apply to the federal government. At least they did in the past. Under the incorporation doctrine, and you're going to see a little thing pop up here explaining what that is. Under the incorporation doctrine, the freedom of the press, or petition, freedom of petition does apply to the states. Okay? So I'll say again, freedom of petition does apply to the states under the incorporation doctrine. And I popped up the little message right here saying what that was. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know this one was all over the place. There wasn't a whole lot of information. But like I said, when I was looking up the information and the facts, I didn't see a whole lot on this. These are the 4 meat ones of the First Amendment. This is kind of a sidebar, really, if you really look at just the stacks. So that's all the time I have. I went like 3 seconds over the total time. Stay tuned for the Second Amendment, finally moving on to the right to bear arms. Do you own weapons? Because if you do, you're going to love this Second Amendment. If you don't, well, you might want to skip the next one. But you shouldn't skip it because it's still government, it's still America, it's still awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, my beautiful Americans, stay beautiful Americans, and yellow shirt.